Teaching at UMBC this year, and I met our next reader at UMBC. Laura Lewis Brown is a Baltimore-based writer and editor and an adjunct professor of English at the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, and the University of Baltimore. She attended English at Georgetown University, earned an M.A. in journalism from the University of Maryland, and obtained an M.F.A. in creative writing and publishing arts from the University of Baltimore. When she's not writing, she can be found on the in the suburban zoo she shares with her husband, 3 young children, 2 dogs, and 2 cats. Wow, that's a crowded house. Please welcome Laura.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hi. I've always written, but I really started writing more when I moved to Baltimore. I was, after I graduated from college, I worked in DC, and at 22 I got laid off, and then I got a job in Baltimore, and they say that Baltimore just grows on you. I was going to be here for 6 months, and now it's been maybe 13 years, something like that. So I used to write an online column on, I worked at WBAL at the TV station, and they had this column that was on like 60-some websites across the country, but I haven't done that in a while, so now I'm just trying to do more writing and get back into the scene here. Okay. I'm going to try to read 2 things for you today. It feels like night, it's so dark in here, but okay. This is called Facebook and the Boy Who Bit Me. As I upload recent photos of my 3 children to Facebook, I notice a friend suggestion for me. Apparently, I may know my first love. The social networking gods inform me. Sounds fairly romantic and potentially cute. If only Facebook knew that Jordy was the boy who hit me. More than 15 years have passed, but I can still see him. His crazy curly hair, long enough to graze his glasses, thin wire ones that magnified his hazel eyes. I loved his glasses because they gave him a quirky look compared to the other preppy boys at our small private school in Delaware. I gave him everything a teenage girl has to give: my love, my virginity, and my time, including hours on the phone and 3 proms. I documented our love in photos and long letters as we played the part of melodramatic young lovers. But it wasn't always play. Jordy had a temper, which I discovered months after we negotiated away our virginities as if we were planning a major business deal. It was a big deal. Like most teenage love stories, the car holds the secrets. His was a bright blue Cadillac with a faux convertible top made of white leather that he had inherited from his grandfather. That car was so big, we could make out in the front seat and never even come close to the steering wheel. One spring night, we had been having sex in that boat of a car in the parking lot of my preschool. From his back seat, I saw the jungle gym where I used to play, when suddenly he exploded and hit me with his fist, pounding my ribs and head while assuring himself, and me later, that I deserved it. I cried and yelled as I tried to hit him back. It didn't help that I was stripped down, embarrassed, and worried that someone would see me naked, let alone being hit. I was 15 that night, a girl with small breasts and soft skin, but I was pretending to be a woman, even though the memories of kindergarten, half days, used to be half days, making donut holes were more inviting. He was so much bigger and stronger. He lifted weights and played sports. I tried to catch a glimpse of the boy I fell in love with in his angry face as he hit me. I wanted him to realize what he was doing to me, but he looked like a maniac on a mission. Full of rage, he was ready to lash out at anyone in his path, which explained the incidents with boys at school, such as ripping off the hood ornament of a car that blocked his in, or slamming a friend's brother into the concrete for crossing him. I saw fistfights among boys and played contact sports all my life, but I had never been punched in the face until my first love. Even when my older brothers beat up on me back in the day, it was never out of malice. My parents never even spanked me. As he hit me, it was just like in the movies or cartoons, where the lights flash. I thought I was going to be knocked out. It hurt and stung, and I wanted to throw up, but it was more shocking than painful. The kind of shock that makes it too hard to cry until much later when you realize what just happened, when it's too late to do a thing about it. I don't know what made him stop, because I don't even know why he began, but there he was crying and apologizing through his tears, crouched down on the floor of the back seat looking up at me. I had never seen him cry before. "I'm so sorry, I love you, it will never happen again," he told me while wiping away his tears with the back of his hand. He strained to speak as he sniffled. I believed him, and even kissed back when he reached for my lips. I held on to the notion that this could be an isolated event. I didn't even have any bruises or cuts to hide, just my sadness and confusion. If I hadn't been too young to handle it, like my mother would have told me had she known, maybe I would have broken free that night. I could have gone home, ditched my first love, and moved on. Yet he had a skill for making me feel bad about myself that kept me around, like a neglected child who continues to seek the love of a bad parent. I always wanted to be in love, and there I was. Well, what made it almost easy to get away with is that we were successful people, at least by high school standards. We both were at the top of our classes, winning awards for academics and sports. He grew up in a beautiful house with parents I adored. He had good looks and boundless intelligence, scoring high on his SATs, having his choice of elite colleges, and excelling in whatever he pursued. From the outside, he looked like a smart yet socially awkward guy with an offbeat style. Clothes that weren't necessarily in, but not out either. And I was the more outgoing, popular girlfriend. When he pushed me and cut my face falling on a radiator at school, no one even asked. When he gave me a fat lip, I blamed it on lacrosse practice, which didn't add up since I was a goalie and wore a helmet. But the friend who asked me that time bought my explanation, or maybe she just didn't want to know. Even my parents who looked out for me didn't know what was going on. I was still doing well in school after all, so there were no glaring signs that something was wrong. I continued to let those nights of hitting and crying happen. I stayed with him for years after many violent outbursts, partly because it wasn't always bad. He wrote me poems and sang me love songs. Even though his insecurity and need to control started to weigh me down, I hung on to help him, as you would a sick friend. The last time we were together as a couple was the last time he hurt me. We were at a college house party when I left to use the bathroom, only for him to lash out when I returned. We bickered discreetly as he dug his fingers into my hand, squeezing me to hurt me, but so that no one noticed. As he clenched my pulsating fingers, now turning white from his grip, he leaned in to say something, I thought. Instead, he clamped down on my right cheek with his teeth, like an animal biting its prey, leaving me again in shock and paralyzed rage. My face burned, and I couldn't look at him. It's still hard to believe it, even though my best friend remembers the bite mark. When I think about that moment, my hand involuntarily touches my right cheek. I broke up with him the very next day. It only took one bite and 4.5 years of his issues to make me realize I didn't want him anymore. I could be happy with someone else, even myself, and it didn't matter how hard he tried to make me feel valuable only to him. I simply said, it's over, and he left. It took me years to break free and only seconds for him to go. My first love gone. Despite a few run-ins due to mutual friends, I haven't seen him in years, except in Facebook thumbnails. Actually, this morning, he popped up again. I don't get it. We live on different coasts, and I never expect to run into him on the street, nor do I worry about how good or bad I'll look if I ever do. I struggled for years to overcome and understand why he loved me, yet hated me so. Why did my first love have to be so wrong? Yet it doesn't hurt anymore. The scars have faded, like his thinning hairline displayed in his profile picture. No matter how much I've moved on, I'm tempted to accept that Facebook suggestion. I would love to peek around his life now, hoping to understand the why, and perhaps see the monster today. Morbid curiosity? Or maybe the desire to reclaim a cute first boyfriend story, full of puppy love and awkward makeout sessions, not bite marks and tear stains. But first loves are sometimes meant to be packed up in a photo album or deleted from an inbox. I look again at my smiling little daughter in the pictures I post to my own Facebook page. I just hope that she is lucky enough to avoid falling in love with the wrong guy. I will teach her to click the X and keep moving. And now we'll talk about my vagina. This I started years ago when I was trying to get pregnant, so you get to hear a little bit about that. Okay, this is called The Waiting Room. It's supposed to be in an anthology that I'm just waiting. I got it. He said he wants it, so we'll see if he actually publishes the anthology. Okay, I've tweaked it a bit for the purposes of time. Okay. I've been waiting to get pregnant for almost 2 years when I find myself waiting again, this time at a doctor's office on Charles Street, minutes from my home but miles away from what I want my life to be. The artwork is thoughtless, the seats are crusty industrial, and the bottle of water I'm drinking is no guarantee the tech will find a juicy vein this time. After my regular doctor put me through a series of tests, which involved sticking speculums, tenaculums, and other Greek-inspired devices in my most sacred places, the results were inconclusive. My doctor told me he knew more about delivering babies than making them. It was time for me to see a fertility specialist for unexplained infertility. Unexplained makes me sound mysterious, but infertile evokes images of cobwebs and tide-washed sandcastle remains. It's hard to shake off that word, infertile, because clinically, if a woman tries to conceive for a year and fails, she is infertile. We spent months of having sex at every angle and in exotic parts of the world. It just didn't happen. My husband told me to relax, let life come to me, and yet my eggs haven't been listening. Or maybe it's my uterine lining, or my progesterone levels. Could it be that Diet Coke I had for breakfast? Try it from behind, lift up your hips afterward, use this lube called Pre-Seed. Take 3 prenatal vitamins. Don't exercise too much, try acupuncture. Eat some herbs, skip the caffeine. Tell your husband to masturbate every other day so the dead ones aren't lingering. Just don't think about it. I heard it all. I tried it too, right? Advice and more advice and no baby. After making my way through the check-in process at the fertility clinic, a night of 30th birthday cocktails swirled in my head as a nurse squeezed a blood sample from my sucked dry by bourbon veins to test my hormone levels. These results would determine my starting dosage of the medicine I would inject that night. From that hungover visit to the doctor's office, I embarked on a baby-making journey that took me to many not-so-exotic locations: a bowling alley, a public bathroom, a music festival, at school between classes, a wedding reception. With freshly drained veins, I obtained my first supply of drugs from the pharmacist, including syringes and alcohol swabs. It was almost exciting to leave with a shopping bag full of drugs. And I'm the first person to avoid taking even Tylenol. These drugs, though, were going to get me pregnant. Luckily, I had Hugh Grant on my side for the first few stabs and jabs. My nurse suggested I use TV as a distraction after the needle and dosage were ready to go. With Hugh looking cute and a go-to rom-com, the needle still looked ugly, but not as awful. Squeezing a section of my stomach skin in hand and syringe in the other, I looked straight ahead and slid it in. Ouch, but not as bad as the buildup. After losing my injectable virginity, I was ready for anything, suddenly empowered to take on all the pricks of the world. I had to be ready because it's not always convenient to administer daily shots that need to be kept cool at all times. I learned how to smuggle my medicine in a lunch bag cooler into work, grad school, and even the Virgin Fest at Pimlico. That was really interesting. I think I did it in a porta potty, but I don't really want to admit that. I discovered that it hurt less on the left side of my stomach than my right. Of course, it wasn't that easy. I always worried the medicine didn't go all the way in and wondered if I should have injected more. The moment I felt like an injecting pro, I worried that I hadn't been paying enough attention and that my cycle was ruined. I once forgot the special mixing cap for the powder drug I had to mix with saline and turned my car into a makeshift meth lab just outside Cactus Cantina in DC as my friend waited inside for me. The medicine that made my eggs grow came with a nice set of side effects: bloating, mood swings, exhaustion, not to mention occasional bruises from blood work and my own needlework. Sometimes I didn't know whether to pass out or cry. I also struggled with who needed to know what I was going through. I was always open, but infertility shut me up. It doesn't get much more personal than a potentially washed up uterus. I thought to tell my boss why I had been so down lately, but I didn't want to let her or anyone else in. That just set me up for follow-up questions. The last thing I wanted to hear was, did it work? It didn't work. Not for an entire angry, stupid summer and 3 rounds of artificial insemination. So that same boss would suggest, maybe you're pregnant. If I had a sniffle or didn't like the smell of her burnt coffee. I hate the smell of burnt coffee. I wasn't pregnant. No one could help me get pregnant or make me feel better. My husband felt powerless and confused, and I made it my job to make him feel better, but the sound of my fake upbeat voice was sickening. It didn't get any easier as I went along appointment after appointment, but I kept reminding myself that I had no say in the matter. I could do whatever it took to get pregnant and still find myself empty-handed. That doesn't mean I suddenly began to believe in that when it's your time crap. People tried to tell me that there is a reason for everything, that all this waiting, trying, hoping would mean that I cherish my children more, that perhaps I was chosen to go through this rough patch to learn something. Bullshit. The pain taught me to avoid pain. I've known infertile women who want the world to know their pain, who can constantly complain about teens getting pregnant and Britney Spears oopsing out another kid. Some people wear infertility like a Girl Scout marriage badge. Look at me, I'm fucked up. You don't even know how bad it is, breeder. I just wanted to seek help silently and swiftly, never designating myself as anything other than mom-to-be. I'm now comfortable naked from the waist down, heels firmly in the stirrups, disposable paper blanket covering my neatly shaven frontal nudity. Very important. The doctor, you never know what he's gonna say. I'm ready to exchange jokes with the doctors and nurses. That's the best, the nurses. The ladies who try so hard to focus on the water-stained drop ceiling rather than the bright light shining on my formerly private parts as the doctor inserts the ultrasound wand. The watchers don't offend me, but the gray rubber wand, delicately draped in a condom and topped with a blue ultrasound gel, does. I can't remember the last time I saw a condom. As I wait for my name to be called for my next examination, first name, first initial of the last name for anonymity, I sneak glances at the women in the waiting room. I try to guess what's wrong with them. Polycystic ovarian syndrome, endometriosis, bad eggs. But infertility is hidden. It's not some hideous sore or blemish that I can treat with ointment or hide with makeup, and it's not a single ailment with a catch-all cure. Some women have bad tubes, others have no tubes. Some are scarred by ectopic pregnancies, and then there are women like me with nothing clearly or obviously wrong. We all may live under this designation, infertile, but some of us will still have children. The more I judge these women, the more I wonder what they think of when they look at me. I'm suddenly self-conscious about my wardrobe. I hate these shoes, and my nails are all chipped. I should dress a little better, but it's not even 7 a.m., and I had to rush to get here. I overhear a woman and her husband talk about driving 90 minutes from Pennsylvania, so I can't complain about my 10-minute drive. But where exactly is my superstar husband? Shouldn't he be right by my side like a doting spouse in a Lifetime movie? I want him here, but then I don't. Kenny would make me more nervous, and I would have to face the nerves I have in my belly as he slurped on the last bits of his giant morning diet soda, and I instructed him not to make too much noise as he chews on the ice. We already know that his swimmers are just fine, and the infertile wand slowly shifts back to me. Then the most obnoxious woman walks in and loudly proclaims to the receptionist, "I know I'm pregnant, just here to confirm it." I glance at rolling eyes and share a knowing smile with a woman to my right. We're all in this together except for that one, the loud one who doesn't need a specialist anymore and who did not bother to consider her hair or clothing this morning. Perhaps she was sent here to annoy us. There is a certain etiquette as one waits to get pregnant. As much as I like to speculate on others' conditions, I would never ask anyone her story. We have all heard enough questions and confusion from people. Yet there's a sense, perhaps hope, that an infertile woman cares what I'm going through. She understands even if her story is completely different. She's not going to tell me to relax or see what happens. I've met women who are lugging their refrigerated medicines and will make a remark about the bulk. There are others who will share a complaint about the staff scheduling too many appointments. From there, we talk about why we're here, how long it's been, and always give the automatic good luck, as if that will seal the deal on the way to the lab. Yet that waiting room bond I've developed between infertile women is not designed for endurance. The second I start to feel like she gets me, bam, she's pregnant. She, not me. I remember this woman named Lola B. During my first cycle of injections, we often found ourselves sitting next to each other as our blood was drawn. Then my cycle failed, and I returned for round 2, but I never saw her again. I'm happy thinking she's enjoying the first trimester. Good for her, but what about me? When an infertile woman gets pregnant, she's not sure what to say to those who have supported her along the way. Your turn is next, baby dust. As there's this little infertile fairy, a fertile fairy, that sprinkles magical syringe-free hormones over those of us left behind. Of course she wants me to get pregnant, but she's gone now. I hope to be gone soon. It's not a race or a competition, but it hurts to watch someone in my boat take a flying leap into pregnancy land, especially the women who are sharing the same misfortune. It gives me hope to hear success stories, but I can only remember that her body is very different than mine. She already had that miscarriage, and I've never even seen a positive pregnancy test. And so I wait. I am good at waiting. I have dug deep and developed patience. I can distract myself for hours, but the waiting line is getting long, and I'm ready to give up my slot. Then I hear the nurse call out from the back room, "Laura B., you're next."